Getting into game 2, though, once again, eLevate's going to be first pick. Cloud9 going to be on that order side. See who eLevate going to look to ban out. Giannis
is going to be the first ban. Same as last time, so team does have a little bit of consistency in the ban department. Cloud9 looking to choose their ban. Now, it's worth saying you can't really come into the lobby with only 4 players, so...
So yeah, now they have their full roster here. MLC Stealth is back. Word around is Wukong going to be banned out. So far the picks and bans have been the same thing. I believe, who did they ban out in this position last time? Was it Khepir?
Geb.
It was Geb, and then I believe Cloud9 banned Khepir, correct?
Yeah, Cloud9 banned the Khepir and the Wukong last time.
Thor,
though. Thor. eLevate says, look, Andy almost beat us 4v5 with the Thor. Let's not give it to him. And I'm pretty sure that might have been directed by Scary D.
He was not having a good time. I mean, he was 1-5 at the beginning of that game with Cloud9 having the kill lead. Isis banned out, though. So Cloud9 giving some respect to Aduro, actually taking out 2 of the premier mids. Only Nuwa is up, and this is what they want, right? There's 3 picks. There's Wukong, Serqet, and Nuwa. And Cloud9 are getting 2 of them. That is the reason for that Isis ban.
It's also just to take away the objective secure. Isis just a smart ban in general these days. Serqet going to be opted on the side of
eLevate. Oh, Khepir's available too.
We'll see just how much JeffHindla has been practicing. Or I mean, at the end of the day, maybe they just don't like Khepir. Don't forget, Khepir is the new god. Khepir has a very important battle resurrection ability, but what he does lack is an initiate. So keep that in mind when you see teams choose or not to choose to pick him. Instead, Wukong going to be picked up by Cloud9.
And honestly, speaking of that, or banning away the Thor was a good look. Because even if Cloud9 are able to grab Khepir here, like you said, they don't have a strong jungle initiation. But it is going to be the 2 I suspected. Wukong and Nuwa going to be locked in. Nuwa going to stealth here. eLevate looking to counter. Like we said, Khepir, though, still available. But we're going to need to see some other form of initiation on eLevate if that's what they want to look for.
And with the Sun Wukong in the solo lane, it's going to have to come out of the jungle. Sun Wukong can do a lot, but initiation, I mean... I don't know. It doesn't really scream initiate to me. A huge team knockup from the Ox might be good, and a huge team slow might be good as well from the Master's Will. But I mean, Sun Wukong, not exactly the god that comes to mind when I'm thinking initiation.
No. Final pick of the first half, and it's actually...
There it is!
It looks like, I think that's a little bit of a mess up. eLevate still looking for their first pick. I'm assuming, I believe, I don't know if this Khepir is true. It might have been on the other side here.
We'll take a look. We're still in the picking phase. Anything's possible. Left-hand side.
Okay, so Geb was locked in, and then Khepir was locked in for Cloud9. Cloud9 now going to be banning.
A little bit of stutter step there, but right now we're all set and good. Right-hand side, Cloud9 first pick phase over. Sun Wukong, Nuwa, and Khepir. Left-hand side, Team eLevate first pick phase over. Serqet, Osiris, and Geb. So a lot of similar stuff on the side of eLevate. Of course, they banned Geb in Game 1, so they'll be taking it in Game 2. Freya like ban again from C9.
Yeah, for me, though, I like the Geb pickup because you have Serqet. That's one of the main counters to Serqet is basically I'm able to keep my carry life from your burst. I'm also able to cleanse the last, not the last breath damage, but the silence and stun coming out from it early on. Wheelik's going to be banned out, so eLevate doing their homework. This is a god that Andy really loves to run.
Wheelish is a powerful character, and as you said, Andinster does love to run it. No synergy on the side of Cloud9.
He doesn't care. Andinster doesn't care. He just doesn't miss the knockup.
I mean, there's also a lot more to the character than just the pull from the ultimate. You've got a lot of abilities to either avoid damage or deal damage. The character that is going to be picked up, though, for Cloud9, one more time, Xbalanque on BaRRaCCuDDa. Xbalanque is actually one of his most played gods, not counting last game. 13 times in this whole season.
In Season 2?
In Season 2.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
He's been playing an absurd amount. Medusa going to be locked in here. Final pick coming from eLevate, going to be their mid laner. The top 3 have been taken away, but we've seen Aduro able to play a very nice Scylla, something we don't see prioritized in North America, but a pick that does come out quite often. Instead, though, it's going to be Agni. It's going to be the tried and true traditional mid.
So much power coming out of Agni, the ability to both control and deal damage from this character. He's got 2 heads.
He does have 2 heads. Final pick coming in from Cloud9 here. Still looking for, it looks like their jungler.
Yes.
Unless they want to do Wukong jungle, which is not going to happen, realistically.
I don't see Mr. 2032 on this team.
Nemesis.
So we're going to see a Nemesis. This is a spicy pick.
This is the first Nemesis pick I believe we've seen this split.
And I love it. I'll tell you why. So Nemesis is a character that does better as the games go longer, which we have been seeing as a general rule of thumb. And Nemesis works well if you guys are unfamiliar with her. What Nemesis does is she deals percent damage and strips protections. So with the tanky Osiris that just has natural tankiness built in, she'll really be able to dig deep and bop hard on this solo laner.
As well as, yeah, I mean, there's just so many, there's two gods she can really steal away protections from. A grouping in the mid here, but it looks like they're both just going to ward the same spot. Neither team really wanting to try and fight there.
I haven't seen too much. Are you familiar with how much Andy has really played Nemesis? Because even when Nemesis was a popular pick,
no idea.
Not exactly the god that screams Andinster to me, honestly. Usually I expect to see some more control.
I honestly expected probably a Fenrir in this position.
Sure.
But Nemesis is going to be really interested to see what Andinster is going to go on it or do with it. He's picked up the red pot. Nemesis, though, doesn't really have a very strong early game. And even when she hits 5, like you said, late game is what she's looking for. She, like Kali, or very similar to Kali, needs to get items online. We typically see attack speed, a lot of chin size, executioners,
exactly, because the quick rundown of Nemesis is that she's very basic attack based. Her first and her third ability don't even deal direct damage. The first one's a dash, and the third one is a shield that will reflect damage, but it's not aggressive. Your second ability, Slice and Dice, is where the majority of your damage is going to come from, and then your ultimate is the percent that we were talking about. So really, this Nemesis, looking for the basic attack items, as you said, the Executioners, the Chin Size, the Ichabals, that's what we want to see.
One thing on this team comp from Cloud9 is they don't have a heavy amount of hard crowd control.
Right.
You have the knockup and Tiger Stun coming out from Baskin. Andinster has a slow on his ultimate, as well as a slow on Slice and Dice. MLC Stealth has a stun, but it's not the easiest to set up, right? It's not like I'm using one ability to stun you. It's she has to set up her minions and then explode them and hope people didn't jump away. And then Khepir has a long-range root, but it's no hard stun. The only hard stun on the game is Baskin's Tiger.
Yeah, and as you said, MLC's, it's very hard to really tell those minions where to go. So kind of hard to really set up. So Cloud9 not exactly boosting in the crowd control department, but the raw damage that's going to come out from BaRRaCCuDDa later on is going to provide a lot for this team. I think what Cloud9 is really looking for is to sort of hang on for a while and let Andy and BaRRaCCuDDa just basic attack their way through the enemy lineup.
Solo laners battling back and forth. Last time, ScaryD got a little bit too aggressive. Died to first blood. This time, though, holding his own in this lane much better. Baskin a little bit wary and staying back here.
ScaryD learned his lesson, I guess you could say.
I guess he did.
Last time around, got camped a little bit. Gave up first blood right now. 1.5 minutes in.
Oh, speaking of that, Andinster rotating back, maybe trying to find the same timing, but last time ScaryD was a lot lower. ScaryD, his tether, it looks like it's not available, but not enough damage coming out from Baskin to be able to help secure that kill.
And that's the difference between Nemesis and Thor early on. Thor has that passive that you talked about, just so much extra damage in Nemesis. Once that Slice and Dice is down, it's just basics.
And basically, if it's not slowing him enough and Andinster can't keep up, it's not the best.
Osiris able to return slow with the sickle.
Dash in here by JeffHindla, gonna miss it. Very short range dash on this guy. I mean, you talked about it, right? You need initiation somewhere on Cloud9, and they don't really have a hard initiate, because if JeffHindla misses that pluck, he's a sitting duck. It's worse than Sobek.
Exactly. We mentioned it with Sobek, and with Sobek, if you miss, you can knock up and heal a little bit.
Ult as well,
and
CC
ult,
immunity.
and exactly. It doesn't provide you any damage reduction, even though it looks like it, but you have buttons to press. If Khepir misses and winds up behind enemy lines, there's no tail whip available. There's no heal available. He's got a damage ability and a delayed root. So Khepir, very similar to Sobek in that regard of how the abduct works versus charge prey. But once you're behind, if you actually miss, a little bit different.
Mytherea, he's actually rotated over the soul lane. Baskin is 5, but the question is the damage going to come through? Yeah, there's nowhere for him to go. ScaryD earns first blood on Baskin.
Great rotation coming out from Mytherea, understanding just when he needed to get there on the Serqet, and intelligent play, really.
Yeah, very nice pick up from eLevate. So far, though, the game going very slow. I think this is what Cloud9's looking for. They have a Khepir.
Yep.
They have Andinster on this Nemesis, and then you take a look at the Hunter role, they've got a XBalanque. I mean, their team comp screams individual gods late game. But they don't really have a lot of synergy, like we said. No real hard setup, no big stuns. We'll see if they can make it work. And now, though, rotation on to ScaryD, who his ultimate is down.
He's not going to be able to jump up. Baskin will, though. Damage coming out from, well, everybody. There's so many health bars here, but only 2 are real players, and Andinster will pick up the first kill for him and his team. Cloud9 on the board, almost at 4 minutes.
And that's going to be an important pickup from him, because what happened is we saw Baskin, after getting picked up, rotate back into the solo with that teleport. However, ScaryD just used his teleport to get to lane. This is going to give Baskin some free farm that ScaryD is not going to be able to match.
And that's something that's communicated to the rest of the team as well. That's why we were able to see that rotation come out.
Now Mytherea, it looks like right camps are down. Just checking them out here, and just a general, it's a very slow-paced game, and like I said, Cloud9 trying to play it slow-paced for now. I expect to see Andinster back in the solo lane every so often, as long as Baskin to force the ult. Andinster's not going to rotate to this lane unless we see ScaryD's ult down.
eLevate, comfortable with this pace, I'd say. You do have the Serqet, which does well late game, and Osiris also can sort of come ahead late game. But with the Medusa and the Agni to a certain extent, very much a more of a you know.
They do a lot of damage, it's just not as burst, right?
Exactly. You're looking for a mid-game.
They're very strong mid-game gods, really controlling in team fights. I mean, Agni, his bombs, while doing a lot of damage, it's more about the setups and stun and AoEs in these mid-game team fights. And the same with Vessalius, right? I mean, he doesn't have a big steroid. He actually pops his Viper Strike, giving him a huge attack speed and extra damage for 3 shots only. But it's about that ult, Petrify. If he can't stun people out, at the very least, he's slowing people.
And that'll really help control. A lot of the times where you see, when I think Medusa, Kevin, I think a lot about Gold Fury. That's really the mid-game Gold Fury. It's the 15-minute fights. That's where Medusa really makes her mark. If we get to that 35-minute Fire Giant, I think Andy's going to have a little bit more of an impact.
I think he will here. Teams, though, looks like they're slowing down the pace. Boots online coming out for Agni. Stealth still looking to finish his penetration. Boots. Geb, we actually see Metyankey go cooldown Boots. Vessalius, though, he's going to be ganked. His dash, it looks like it's down. No, it is up, but they're not even going to give him a chance. BaRRaCCuDDa locks that kill down.
A lot of that had to do with the positioning of Andinster and the left-hand jungle being aggressed on. Aduro plucked out of the way he wanted to go, but his dash wasn't used yet. So the Agni will be safe. Andy will chase.
Just poke.
Slow, but just allow some positioning. So Andinster, very important in that gank on the left-hand side, stood in front of Medusa. Now, we see that all the time when it comes to body blocks, Kevin, but the way Lacerate works, you can't dash through people. You'll actually just grip the first person you find, like Charge of Prey. So by standing in front of the Medusa, Vessalius couldn't dash.
And that's the thing about Medusa. That is a very aggressive movement ability for a Hunter, while most Hunter jumps are typically get away or set up, on her. His can be used either way because it does have a knock-up as well.
Right.
But basically, coming out from Medusa, it's I'm going to lacerate to you, and I'm
deal
going
a lot of damage.
I'm going to root you in place for that half a second, and I'm also going to then be set up for free auto attacks. However, when trying to get away, you can body block it, much like Athena's dash.
Yeah, it's just like Athena, where when you want to aggress, it's fine. Oh, I got to warm up, no problem. I want to get in, yeah, I hit you, I slow you. When you want to get out, much different story.
Grouping here on these left side camps with area, it looks like he was able to steal away one, and Andinster going to grab the other. And Aduro just trying to throw out some pokes. So far, though, this game, dead even. Cloud9 with a 500 gold advantage, although eLevate did find the first blood, so Cloud9 finding, it seems, more farm across the map. And actually, a big blink in from Metyankey.
Going to knock up the mid laner, MLC Stealth. Going to return here. A little bit of damage coming out as ultimate used on Mytherea. Not going to happen. Mid lane, not the place to look right now as the Hunter matchup. Vessalius falls down to the wayside as BaRRaCCuDDa picks up a kill on the assist of the jungler. Andinster one more time. Pretty much as soon as Vessalius made it to lane, he went back to base.
And ScaryD and Baskin continue to battle out. And you take a look here, ScaryD actually secured first blood, giving him a 500 gold advantage, but Baskin's already reduced that to only 100. So Baskin so far controlling the lane. And actually, ScaryD, he's on red life. He actually might get dove here. Baskin, oh no, with that hit, there's no way he's going to be diving into that. Way too risky.
Well, here comes the rest of eLevate, seeing if they can do something to Baskin. Going to opt not to. Now, it's interesting. last game, we saw Cloud9 pay a lot of attention to the solo lane. They stuck ScaryD into the ground. As you said, he was 1-5, and largely that was a lot of those kills happened before the unfortunate disconnect. This time around, Andinster is all about this duo lane.
He's shutting down Vessalius. You can already see a 2-level lead, and BaRRaCCuDDa has a 600 gold lead on his opponent. I mean, it's going to be really hard for Vessalius. And you see Metyankey, he's never in this lane. Neither is Mytherea. They're looking elsewhere, trying to set up things, but it's Andinster the one who's actually able to secure the kills.
Now, is it the compositions that really have sort of framed the situation where this composition is a late game, and we mentioned how strong Medusa can be in the mid game? Do they want to sort of throw off that timer?
eLevate just has no wards on the left-hand side. Like,
so
they're just letting Andinster gank because Metyankey's roaming, trying to make plays elsewhere or find farm. And actually, Mytherea has rotated over, but just looking to grab some minions, it seems, after missing that taunt.
Big rotation coming out from Cloud9.
Still no wards
Nemesis
here. They don't know
here.
that Andinster's here.
Exactly. No vision. Mytherea is going to
I expect Vessalius is going to be playing very defensive. I don't expect him to
look at him where he is on the map. He's in between his tier 1 and tier 2 towers. There's no buff to get.
He's just making sure that BaRRaCCuDDa doesn't know where he's at. He's basically trying to say, I want Andinster to go away. Mytherea, though, has rotated in as Andinster leaves. Might be able to catch up BaRRaCCuDDa,
just going to miss.
Just in time. And BaRRaCCuDDa picking up a very early sentry ward. Not something many hunters do. We'll see regular wards, just not sentries.
I mean, the sentry wards are very important, very interesting when we see the ward battle come out. We see the ward battle come out on the left-hand side usually, or in the dual lane usually. This time around, though, I almost feel like Cloud9 sort of expects eLevate to have a ward there by now.
Yeah, and you talk about it too. JeffHindla, ever since the change to the fall split, you can only have 2 wards out on the map for an individual. So basically, BaRRaCCuDDa has to ward because JeffHindla can't ward Gold Fury and his lane and need wards elsewhere at the mid camps.
And that's where BaRRaCCuDDa is actually going to drop the ward.
So he'll control the Gold Fury there.
Understanding that the vision there is a little bit light. Meanwhile, right-hand side, Cloud9 looking at ScaryD. There's some help from the dual lane out of Xbalanque ultimate. That's the lack of damage that Nemesis offers in the beginning. Totally had ScaryD dead to rights, but nothing to give.
Big Cataclysm coming out, but it doesn't look like the rest of eLevate wants to keep this up as Baskin is rotated in. It's going to be a wash from both sides. A couple ults used, and neither team able to find a kill.
Both solo laners did make the rotation. Baskin's going to find himself in lane a little bit sooner than ScaryD. ScaryD not even thinking about leaving the lane just yet, still here in the mid. Actually going to back Baskin, however, will be able to push this lane.
He's either going to get the blue or the tower because no teleport is available for ScaryD. He got a little bit too poked out in the mid lane, and Baskin just going to grab the blue.
The teleport is on about 15 seconds. At that point, you know, it's hard to really pinpoint if the player is going to have it. So opting for the what seemed to be safe option and going for the buff
here, and now Andinster is going to try and dive under tower. One more hit, they're not able to find it. Meanwhile, though, ScaryD has rotated in, but the bluestone passive. Baskin actually locks down Aduro. I believe he only got 1 tick on that off. That's only 30 damage. Aduro just so low falls to it.
So low in the solo lane. Cloud9 and now have their 4th kill of the game. eLevate only able to pick up 1. That's going to be on their solo laner. ScaryD killed Baskin a little bit earlier. Now back in the dual lane. Vessalius versus BaRRaCCuDDa, and Vessalius has had a lot of attention paid to him by the jungler.
Andinster has been in this lane multiple times. We really haven't seen him in mid looking for ganks. It's typically hard to shut down mages to begin with, especially one as mobile as Agni, and instead he's trying to get his 2 big players who typically like to sit in lane and farm ahead early, because not only is this going to accelerate their build, accelerate them into late game, which is Cloud9's goal, but it's also going to allow them to rotate in and find numbers ganks. Speaking of ganks, though, Baskin can't heal up, holding his ultimate. Actually, it's down, and he's juking so far. ScaryD able to pick up it at the end, though.
Rotation coming out from Khepir, unable to really get the BaRRaCCuDDa off, a little bit too late. But Andy's here, might be able to deal out some damage. Looking to play a little bit defensively. Slice of Dice is on. Andy's 2 levels lower than the solo lane, and eLevate makes their rotation mid lane and support. So Cloud9 going to intelligently slink back.
There's just so much pressure put onto both of these solo
MLC by himself, forced into the air, and that's all eLevate needs to really walk away.
Yeah, JeffHindla was there anyway, and Mytherea recognized he couldn't keep that aggression up. He was just looking for the, can I catch him in the taunt before he ults? Can I one-shot him? But Stealth just barely escaping that. Metyankey sitting here in the mid lane, and BaRRaCCuDDa is just constantly rotating. Even though he's not in these fights all the time, he's just actually trying to counter ward here, and Metyankey trying to just ward. He's going to get plucked in. Beads are forced, trying to roll out. Damage reduction coming through, or damage dot coming through, and that's just going to be Metyankey's beads, though.
We're seeing beads more and more on these supports. Big damage coming out from Mytherea. He'll be chased out by, well, the entirety of Cloud9. We see beads more and more on these supports. I want to say Shadowq was the first, but I think everybody sort of started around the same time.
I'd say
You're
Shadowq
giving
was
up,
probably the first.
Now that Hog is gone, you have that luxury.
Yeah, and typically you want to look for support actives like the Shells, like the Heavenlies, like the Creeping or Weakening Curses.
Right.
But if you're a support with low mobility or someone that you know can get locked down based on their team comp, sometimes not dying and just farming up and keeping that farm because you have beats is more important. And that's what he's doing against Andinster, because he knows Andinster is going to be stealing away his protections. And not only does it increase Andinster's protections, but it reduces Geb's, right? There's two things to it that we didn't talk about. It's not just stealing. It's stealing. It's making a huge swing, and Geb is likely just to get bursted. Right.
I mean, you mentioned the lack of. You mentioned that beads work out on gods that aren't as mobile, and Geb is quite the opposite. But what the beads does here, as you said, is it extends Geb's life right on the side of ScaryD wishing he could extend his. It extends Geb's life, allowing him to just deal out more Geb shields, which is one of the more important things that Geb does.
Gold Fury, it looks like trying to be started up here by Cloud9, and Vessalius getting caught out here. Andinster trying to find this kill. Metyankey and Adura waiting in the wings. Mytherea is actually coming around this fight, though, and it seems that eLevate, they're going to get out for now.
Ultimate coming out from Vessalius. Not going to hit much of anybody, and Mytherea forced into his own jungle again. Pop, pop goes MLC Stealth. Vessalius will fall down. Good burst coming out of Nuwa.
Meanwhile, because ScaryD fell, Baskin has just been left alone in this lane. He didn't need to rotate, and now Cloud9, they're going to be starting the Gold Fury, looking to pick up Mytherea, nowhere for him to go. Adura bombs over the wall, just not enough damage.
Cloud9 going to look at the Gold Fury right after that exchange. Two people on the side of eLevate going to be dead at the moment. Adura making his way into the Gold Fury. Baskin, on the other hand, not just the tier 1, but the
eLevate
tier 2.
Stole it!
eLevate gets the steal with the help of a lot of damage coming out from Agni and the Geb. Geb will most likely trade his life. MLC takes out Metyankey, and Agni going to be safe. Cloud9 unable to secure their Gold Fury. eLevate picks that up, and almost at 16 minutes, folks, Cloud9 leads by what could have been larger, but is just 3,000 gold.
I honestly don't know who stole it, but great play coming out, and Cloud9 drops that Gold Fury. However, Baskin is able to secure 2 towers on the right-hand side. ScaryD trying to steal away the blue buff, but he's going to get caught out and recognized by Baskin. We do see Andinster rotate back over here. I don't think he's going to be able to catch him in time. ScaryD has too many slows in his kit, and he'll be fine.
That mystical mail pulse still doing
Baskin's
damage.
having none of it, though. He's like, I'm just going to do all this extra 40 damage to you.
Catstun going to land on a ScaryD, and he's got a long way to run. Don't forget, Baskin took out not just 1, but 2 towers in this solo lane. In comes Andy, and now he's swinging. Doesn't have any basic attack items just yet, just the Jotun's Wrath to his name, but just a little bit of damage is all he and Baskin needs to cause a double kill for Cloud9.
Yeah, ScaryD really baiting Mytherea into that. He was so aggressive. He had no tower to back onto, yet he's trying to steal a blue buff away up way deep on the backside of the map when he knows Baskin had back and was walking straight to it. And he's actually just caught out, and Mytherea trying to help him causes 2 deaths.
So this is pretty standard for what we're seeing out of Nemesis. Again, this is a character that we don't normally get to see. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast how Nemesis is very much attack speed based, but you usually see this Jotun's Wrath sort of bridge item, because when the Jotun's Wrath
bridge is the perfect word for it.
Exactly. You're not getting this gold influx. Chin size is sort of the #1 item.
Baskin was just really low and died to Phoenix because he was caught out.
You normally see this chin size as the go-to item for Nemesis, but there's not a lot of gold influx that early on.
And just the extra penetration and cooldown, like you said, right? You need so many attack speed items, or typically multiple attack speed items, for Andinster or Nemesis becomes relevant. Just giving her that extra penetration, extra cooldown on her ultimate, and that's what we've seen, right? We've seen Andinster put out a lot of ganks, and I think that's the key, is having that ultimate on cooldown 25% or up 25% more often just is allowing him to keep up that pressure on these lanes. And you can already see Baskin in full control of this whole lane, has killed ScaryD multiple times, already taken both his tower, and also Vessalius, he was locked down twice earlier. earlier, and BaRRaCCuDDa has a huge lead. eLevate, though, we're able to steal the Gold Fury, nicely fighting back here. Game's paused. We're going to be getting back into it very shortly, though.
Right, and coming back to that Jotun's Wrath again, it's Nemesis is a character that sort of works with both the abilities and the basics. And what Jotun's Wrath does, it allows the time to sort of stretch out. Once the Jotun's is finished, now your team is about 15 minutes in. Now you can go ahead and take down the towers and the gold furies. You start to get that additional objective gold from kills and stuff, not just farm. So you actually will amass and be able to purchase some of the more expensive items that you want later on. Now, as we get back into this game, I do want to mention Cloud9 has used 2 of their pauses. So there is one left, MLC Stealth, and everybody else is still connected.
eLevate has also used a pause in that, so sorting some issues on their own. And Mytherea going to try and counter ward, but realize he can't with Andinster and BaRRaCCuDDa rotating in. And right now, Cloud9 up 10-2 in kills here, and Mytherea trying to get stuff going, but hasn't been able to. 4,300 gold lead for C9, 7,000 experience, and that's the big one for me. I mean, there's at least a level on every single player. MLC Stealth has 3 on a Duro.
Channeling all of his power. MLC Stealth unable to make it in Game 1. Going to come in hard in Game 2 with a vengeance. Level 17 on this new 204. Looking strong, to say the least.
eLevate trying to play very defensively now, recognizing that they don't have any vision on the map outside of one ward very deep, and so many sentry wards placed for Cloud9 deep into eLevate's jungle, and especially on this right-hand side, because there's no tower, they know that if someone on eLevate just is a little bit too pushed up, they're going to be able to lock him down. We saw that last time with SPL try and steal away the blue buff, recognized they just slowly chased him down, and I mean, that was a very long engagement, but able to pick up 2 kills for it. For now, though, eLevate just trying to farm up, and I like this decision from them.
Just passively trying to amass some gold. I mean, they're down, but not out. 4,000 gold is by no means a death sentence.
No, they want to stay even, basically, up until the next Gold Fury, the next big objective. And Cloud9, they understand that they have this lead. They want to try and take advantage of it, and you can already see, with the map opened up so much, because they've got tier 1s in the mid and left as well, they can walk into this jungle. And it's very hard for eLevate to walk in here, because they don't have the safety net of tier 1 towers, right?
They don't have much to really fall back on. That dual lane tower is up, but it's so easy to take down with the Nemesis and the BaRRaCCuDDa and the Xbalanque. Just the basic attacks coming out are going to shred these towers.
Mid camps spawning here soon.
Executioner coming out for Nemesis. So, as I said, Chin Sa is definitely an item that she wants to build to, but Executioner is going to do so well, especially in hand with her passive.
It's also almost 1,000 gold cheaper. I guess with the reduction, it's it's 700 yield less now, and it's not a bridge item, right? This Executioner is actually
just
core,
a straight
or like
core.
very core, but it's also up much sooner, and because Andinster is fighting so much, it's better to go the Executioner here now, especially with Gold Fury coming up, because you don't want to have less damage or delayed damage because of it. You want to make sure you're winning these fights with the full gold potential you have.
Exactly. To finish that Chin size would have cost 1,600, just 1,000 to finish the Executioner from that rank 2. So able to really get that. And I think it's important what you said before the fight. If Gold Fury was still down, I think we might have seen a little bit of save for the Chins. But because it's up and people are ready to fight, want to be as powerful as possible.
SPL teleported into that left-hand side lane. 2 things, right? First off, he doesn't have to sit in his lane anymore. It's so pushed up on the right-hand side.
Well, you say that, but Baskin right now isn't, but has been pushing up pretty much the whole game.
Well, he just teleported in response, right? SPL teleports over because he recognizes he can't push up that lane or else he's going to get ganked and locked down, as well as trying to find some kills on Andinster or BaRRaCCuDDa and set up for Gold Fury, or there's the threat of Gold Fury.
Right. So it's, as we always say, if you're on the right side a little bit too heavy, the left side becomes very easy to take. eLevate really understanding that, wants to be present around here. And, well, Baskin, you're not going to hide from anybody behind that rock. You've got a mystical male pulsing through the wall.
Stealth hiding in his fog there, and actually Andinster going to rotate in. Vessalius locked down. They're body blocking him for now. Geb's going to try and shield Andinster. Going to get actually stunned out. Great defense by Metyankey there.
Very important play coming out from Metyankey, able to keep his Hunter alive. The Gold Fury will be started by Cloud9, but if eLevate can sort of stall here just long enough and pull enough players off, Vessalius might be able to make it back, Petrify and all.
SPL
Gold Fury already 10%. I take
Cloud9
that back.
have already, like, they've dropped it, and there it goes. There's the reset. Now they're going to look to fight here. SPL trying to get locked down. Mytherea, though, going to taunt them away.
Tether not going to stun much of anybody. Cloud9, remember, folks, the Gold Fury is still up, and here's Vessalius, I mentioned. Petrify, still online. Always keep an eye on that blue diamond on your UI. That is important. One of the most important things about Medusa.
Mytherea was forced to back. Cloud9 recognized that, and it looks like they're going to try and take advantage. Gold Fury under 2,000 health, and Metyankey, you're not going anywhere as you actually get put in combat in, and Metyankey's really not going anywhere as he's surrounded by 4.
Petrify's going to stun 2 and slow the rest. Up in the air is Nua, already forced up. BaRRaCCuDDa will secure the kill on a Scary D, and Cloud9 takes the Gold Fury and the fight 1-0. Not finished yet, but on the backside, you do see the zigzag coming out of Mytherea. Going to hit the Khepir, ultimate used on himself. Mytherea is going to be safe.
Yeah, Khepir hit his ult there. I mean, I guess that was just a misplay coming
now.
out. This was just a misplay from eLevate. Mytherea didn't recognize that ultimate was up. It wasn't called for it. He's going to try and die to tower here, but JeffHindla, he might be able to lock him down. Serqet is so mobile. So mobile.
It used to be Loki. Now it's Serqet. You never chase a Serqet. A little bit too, well, agile. Vessalius wishing he had a jump and a dash and a second dash. Going to fall here to the hand of Andinster.
Vessalius is just trying to farm, man.
The
He's
Nemesis
just like, I just want a little bit of farm.
The Nemesis is really working out here. I mean, 23 minutes in, you've got the Executioner online. That's pretty much it. You've got the Jotuns and the Executioner, and Nemesis is chewing through these players.
Andinster has 2 options here. Build into defense or start chin size, basically. Start some more damage items. If Andinster feels like he's not going to be bursted down, which realistically, it's going to be hard for them to burst him down. They have the Khepir. They have not only the Resurrect, but also that Rising Dawn. Khepir's 2. When it goes through opponents, it's a dot damage. When it goes through your teammates, it's actually damage reduction, and a huge amount of that, I believe up to 50% at max rank, and it lasts for, I believe, 3 seconds.
It's a long amount of time. It definitely will protect Andy, and as we said earlier, already you have the reflection shield. The Nemesis already has some on her side. That's what Nemesis does. I mean, she started as a warrior. She's supposed to be in the thick of everything.
She was. She was released as a warrior, and everyone's like, "Oh no, don't lie to us."
Sort of like Thor. Listen, if this character kills me in 3 seconds, it's got to be an assassin. So Andinster playing on this Nemesis that I like. I'm happy to see some of these underpicked characters, and defense is right. We're going to see the Rune Forged.
2 Rune Forged, actually.
Well, it's no surprise to me on the Sun Wukong. No surprise to me at all. On the Nemesis, though, I mean, she doesn't really scale well, so the additional physical power is...
The physical power isn't the big thing. What he's going for is it's a very cheap item for a lot of health and a lot of physical defense. And it's going to be hard for Mytherea or Scary D to lock him down. Just the extra 350 health is.
It's just about the cheapness of this item. I mean, we've heard many players talk on how accessible it is because it's so inexpensive.
His 3 items now, outside of boots, his 3 core items are very gold efficient, all under 2,200, I believe.
Which, as we said, I mean, Nemesis wants these. I kept mentioning chin size. We're not even seeing it. Staying away from the expensive items allows the power curve to be a little more smooth. So rather than the Nemesis that we were talking about, sort of being a wet noodle until late game where she hurts a lot, Andinster sort of, I don't want to say fixed that, but doing something different, and we're seeing a much more smooth curve out of this Nemesis.
Yeah, I was talking about mid lane, but I didn't realize they were ganking a Khepir. Not going to happen as he rotates back to tower. Cloud9 able to secure the tower on left. Mytherea just trying to get out of this as Cloud9 aggresses.
Slice and Dice really hitting for a large chunk of those HP bars. Stun is good onto Khepir, but it's a Khepir. Cloud9 will seep into this mid lane tower like ants on a sandwich. The tower will fall. Cloud9 looking for players now,
the body blocks.
The objectives.
Petrify comes out, but now a rotation in. Scary D's in the middle of 4. This is not the option he wants. New Wall takes to the sky, and it's not going to be enough damage. Scary D barely escapes that one, but Cloud9 just picking off player after player. Mytherea falls, and now they turn their attention to this Phoenix.
Now Cloud9 has the 5-on-4s. Mytherea's down. Everybody else from eLevate is alive, but they opt not to defend the mid Phoenix. Cloud9 gets that one for free and immediately heads to the left-hand side. Most likely be looking towards the tower. Yep, that's exactly where they're going to go.
Free gold.
Cloud9 going to go ahead and take that 1,500 off the map.
eLevate's not really in a position to defend. There's only 2 players here. Scary D's trying to farm the middle, and Aduro just coming off of the base. Mytherea dead. It's another 1,500 gold to win. And Cloud9, they've extended it to about 13,000 gold, 15,000 experience, and with only 2 players just hitting level 20, that experience lead is pretty hefty.
I mean, this is a fabulous lead for Cloud9, who, lost game 1 due to unfortunate circumstances with the mid laner. Here in game 2, 27 minutes in, off of a couple of objectives and just, honestly, consistent play in all lanes.
Fire Giant is actually started up by eLevate. They tried to sneak it, but Cloud9 are going to catch him red-handed. Metyankey, he's going to get pulled. Forced to beads, going to hit Cataclysm on 2, trying to stun players out, but he's so slow. Geb Shield isn't going to be enough. Andinster, he's actually going to block the rollout. One more hit, and he finds it.
Now, Andy in a little bit of a precarious situation. 4 eLevate jerseys around him. No dash or shield available. Still winds up walking out of there, no problem. The Bolas take down Vessalius, and dashing again into the backline is Andinster. He's going to shred Agni. Baskin gets credit for that one off of the junglers helping. Jumping in place is Scary D, just trying to do what he can. The only one alive on eLevate is Mytherea, and that's a Serqet. We've got 15 seconds on Metyankey the Geb and 30 plus for everybody else. Looking at this one, folks, as Cloud9 heads into the base via the right lane's Phoenix. Cloud9's going to look to end.
They may not be looking, I think they're at least looking for just the Phoenix. No, they're going all the way. 5 members, they're pouring in. Metyankey is spawning, but it's a 3v5, and BaRRaCCuDDa right now is doing so much damage to this Titan.
I mean, it's a Xbalanque, and we're 28 minutes in. That's what happens when you've got the power on your side. Andinster picks an interesting Nemesis. Cloud9 has 5 people on the map, and they take the win.
And Cloud9 finding at least a win to salvage out of this very unfortunate game 1, but all of them able to stay connected for game 2. And this is the Cloud9 we expected going up against eLevate.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, Cloud9, no stretch of the imagination. They're going to, with those 2 games in the books, that's 4-8 record. And I mean, nobody's going to sit here and tell you that's an accurate representation of this team. They're an extremely talented squad, and exactly what they did in game 2 is what we have to expect.
I mean, they almost won 4v5, right? I mean, maybe not almost won, but they made the game competitive. That right, I think that's a better way to state it. They made the game very competitive, and a 4v5 where their mid laner DC'd at a minute, right? It wasn't like Eager, who had a little bit of an advantage to begin with and was able to hold on and extend it for 15 minutes. It was simply they had an advantage. Game 2, though, started off very good for eLevate. Just wasn't able to do anything after that.
Yeah, they go ahead and they pick up first blood by way of their solo laner, Scary D. But as you said, that was sort of their moment in the sun. They had a total of 2 kills in that game, whereas we saw over 13 on the side of Cloud9. So really swinging it around. And as we said, a lot of damage coming out from the Xbalanque. Well, the Xbalanque player is going to be our player of the game. BaRRaCCuDDa, the Hunter, 7-0-7. Impressive slash line.
He was able to lock down Vessalius in almost every single fight, and Andinster got him started early. He actually put 2 ganks onto Vessalius, and by then, there's no way he can fight into BaRRaCCuDDa. But what BaRRaCCuDDa did was just lock down individual players that he knew were key in every single fight after that.
As you said, BaRRaCCuDDa got started early, which is important for Xbalanque. Xbalanque is one of those gods that can just have no passive for the entire game. It only comes, you get power per kill. So if you want it with 0 kills, you're just not going to have a passive.
Yeah.
So Andinster making sure that passive is actually there for his Hunter comes through in the clutch and gets a kill or 2.
Let's take a look at North America and where it lies after the first day of Week 5. AFK Gaming, like I'm going to keep repeating, still undefeated.
10-0 right up there on top, and we'll see at the bottom, eLevate pick up their 2nd win of the split, still 2-10, and Cloud9 even things up 4-8. They've got an impressive schedule ahead of them. Denial, along with some enemy as well. So Cloud9, oh man, they really just have to sort out some of the non-game issues on their side to really take a look at things. And that's going to wrap it up for Thursday. So why don't we look ahead towards the rest of the weekend. Friday, tomorrow, you're going to have London Conspiracy and Titan. And then on the North American side, Eager versus AFK.
Moving on to Saturday, Fnatic versus Paradigm. This is a game you want to make sure to check out. And later in the day, Cloud9 taking on Team Solo Mid. And then finally, Sunday, what I'm looking at for Game of the Week, Titan versus Epsilon.
Titan versus Epsilon should be a lot of fun. I mean, you highlighted it. Cloud9 versus TSM. That's what I'm looking for. As I said, woof. That one is going to be...
Are they going to play Fenrir?
That one's going to be sort of the battle of the best. I mean, as we said,
no,
I think
the best isn't on that team. He's on Cognitive Gaming.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been Thursday. We're going to move on to Friday. Thank you for joining us. For myself, Adonis, Pecky, Zaiden, Eric, and everyone else in the back, we appreciate you joining us. And Brad. We'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.